Hi, my name is George Malahayas, and this year I took RC 2001. This is the first paper that I wrote for this class. It was my discipline literacy narrative. Basically, the premise of this paper was to write about a literacy in our personal lives that led to us choosing our current major. My major is English secondary education, so I wrote this paper about the literacy of reading. I started off talking a lot about, as a child, my mom always stressed reading to me and my brother, and always read to us and made sure we had books, made us go to the library and check things out. So I talked about how through this I developed my own love for reading, read through most of my life and through high school, and decided to become an English teacher. I wrapped up the paper at the end by talking about my goals as an English teacher to inspire students to love reading as much as I do and have positive views on literature and the world. For this paper, since it was mostly personal and didn't really need to do any research, I just talked about things in my personal life. And I used this paper to create a children's book as a physical representation that was called Freddie the Flower. It was about a flower named Freddie who was upset because he couldn't go see the world because he was just a flower stuck in the ground. And then he discovers reading and uses reading as an outlet to explore the world figuratively and experience new things. The second paper that I chose to talk about for this course was my rhetorical analysis, which personally to me, I really enjoyed doing rhetorical analysis as an English major. I think it's interesting to read other people's thoughts and ideas and analyze exactly how they build their argument. I find it really helpful and constructive for when I go and try and make my own arguments and write my own papers. For this paper, I had to do a small amount of research. I had two sources, one scholarly, one non-scholarly. The first one talks about how the teaching of creative writing is ultimately a paradox, because how can you teach someone to be creative? It's hard to teach something that's so unique, such as creativity. And I focused this paper on formulaic writing styles and writing formulas that teachers use to teach their students how to write. Formulaic writing styles are something that I think are really terrible right now in education, and it's a topic that's really important to me personally and something that I want to change personally as a teacher. So my first source was Edith Hamilton, and she talks a lot about how exactly formulaic writing styles are detrimental to students and links it to standardized testing. My second source was a blog post from a high school English teacher who uses his own personal experience in the classroom to talk about how he personally battles this problem and how he's experienced through using formulaic writing styles in the past, how it hurt his students. This paper was pretty fun to write. As I said, I'm an English nerd. I love rhetorical analysis. And I used this paper to link into my final paper for the class, my major issues paper. So I kept the same topic of formulaic writing. And that's this paper here, which I talked about the role of creativity in writing. And this paper, it focuses directly on the issue of formulaic writing versus my last paper, which was just an analysis of other people's ideas. This paper I did a lot of research for. I had about 8 sources, all scholarly peer-reviewed articles that talked about why formulaic writing is bad and why it kills creativity and ultimately takes all of the artistic ingenuity out of writing. I linked it directly to standardized testing, and that writing formulas are around basically because for standardized English tests, there are such specific parameters that you have to follow, and it's when they're graded, it's just a checklist that gets checked off. So as long as each paper has those things, you can get an A, which reflects well on the teachers. So this is really the motivation for teachers to use formulas to teach students things like topic sentence, assertion, a quote, and analysis, which, yeah, it's effective as a means to start when you're teaching students how to write certain types of papers, but ultimately it doesn't leave a lot of room for deviation or personal growth. This was probably my favorite paper that I wrote for the class. Formulaic writing is something that is really important to me personally. As I said before, and I really want to change that when I become an English teacher, hopefully. Overall, I had a lot of fun with all these papers. I thought the topics were really good. I didn't feel like any of the papers were unnecessary or pointless. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you.